Here's a review of Invincible Season 2, Episode 2. This episode was very good, and a lot happened, including Mark graduating, getting to learn more about the multiverse, and kind of the new Guardians. Or Guardians of the Globe, I believe is what they're called. And that was, I think, one of the standouts, kind of with like the Immortal kind of being what Odenman was to the original Guardians. And it's kind of cool seeing their dynamic and seeing them work together. And although they weren't like a huge part of it, they were kind of just more like for the background, I would say. Say like a main part of this is kind of learning more about this multiverse, where like Mark goes into this like kind of closed off realm, and kind of sees like they're like, I believe his name is Dark Blood, he's basically their Batman. Like you see him, I believe, yeah, you saw him again, I think, in the first season, and then he was killed by Omni-Man. And it's just very, very interesting to see. And a lot of it, you kind of like get to learn more, I feel like, about this alternate universe and kind of what happens. And there's a lot to like here. And then, I mean, Adam Eve's subplot, I mean, she's just such a tragic character. I mean, like, if you saw, like, the Adam Eve special from earlier this year, kind of learn how, like, just terrible her childhood was and just how hard it was. And you're like, oh, you watch this episode, you just hate her dad so much. It's so annoying. Like, he's just the worst. And it was kind of hard to watch, but at the same time, it was a great scene to just show, like, it makes these characters just feel so real. And then, like, another kind of massive subplot, which kind of feels silly, but also not. And, like, where Mark basically has to, like, marry this random queen of Atlantis to prevent a war, but only in, like, a technical sense. And it feels very weird because it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, you get, like, he fights, like, this monster, and it doesn't really feel like too much of this is very important. It kind of just feels like it's there. And I liked this episode, but I think I liked the first episode just a little bit more. And as well, I think you get some great scenes between Amber and Mark, where like they're on a date together and they go to what she thinks is Paris at first, but it's actually Vegas, on the Eiffel Tower in Vegas. And that was a pretty funny joke because he says how he's not fast enough to go all the way to France in like an hour or whatever it was that he said. And then you get some really weird scenes with the Immortal, where like he's like dating Duplicate, like all three of them. That was like a really weird scene, but it was kind of funny. It was funny to see. And it's just spending time with these characters is what makes this show so good. Not even necessarily like the superhero stuff, because that's kind of like I always say, like I feel like this show reminds me, at least the character of Invincible, it reminds me a lot of Spider-Man, like where it's more about his personal life. It's just kind of happens to be like just in this more darker world. And I will say, like, Omni-Man wasn't even really in this episode, unless I missed something. But like, I kind of want to know more about what's happening with him, because I mean, he was probably, I mean, even though the show is called Invincible, I would say that Omni-Man is like the best character. He's at least the most interesting character, I think. And I kind of just wish we got to see more of him here. So yeah, you kind of got to learn a little bit more about the multiverse, but not as much. And then so yeah, overall, I thought this episode was really good. Get to spend more time with these characters. You get more of just like this cruel, kind of super ultra-violent world, which is just really fun to see. But at the same time, like, I feel like it feels still upbeat and not necessarily cynical, as like something like maybe like The Boys would. Even though I think that The Boys is also a great show. But I think that's why I might even prefer this show personally, because it has like the darkness, but at the same time, it feels more, I guess, just fun. But overall, I thought it was a really great episode.